Hey there, my name is Mary, and I'm going to read a story to you. It's really a little memoir bit about me. The name of this story is Cool Kid Rising. My stepmother Janie drove a cream-colored Firebird complete with a giant eagle on the hood. Now, I've been raised to call that tacky, and my reaction to that spread eagle bird with the sideways head is still in me. Tacky. Janie is from a good Tennessee family. Her dad was a doctor. I still can't believe she had the phoenix on the hood. Wait, maybe she didn't have the phoenix on the hood, and I'm just inventing it to make my story cooler. Come to think of it, I really don't know, but she definitely had a cream-colored Firebird. Now, I could feel the engine in that car. It felt different than the engines in the Volkswagens and the Fords that I'd been toted around in. She let me drive it all the time. That is, with her beside me. I only had a learner's permit. Tacky or not, I have to admit, I did feel a little bit cool driving that car. Now, let's establish one thing. I was not a cool kid. I wanted to be a cool kid. I hung out with a number of cool kids. The coolest kids of all were the boys who got together downtown on Sundays and played jazz. I didn't even like the music, but I'd go to their jam sessions with my girlfriends in a feigned clove-scented interest. My girlfriends were prettier and skinnier than I was, and I'll be honest, cooler. They got much more attention from the cool boys who plucked their instruments and tapped their toes, cigarettes hanging from their mouths, sipping bourbon on ice between riffs and solos. Occasionally, I got a smile. If I was really mooning, I got a wink. One weekend, my dad and Janie went out of town. Robert and I were 17 and 15, old enough to stay home alone. I am sure Janie and my dad had given up so completely with Robert that the worst case scenario, he'd end up in jail, didn't sound so bad. And they didn't have to worry about me because I was good. I was good, but I wanted to be cool. And here was my chance. What if I just drove myself downtown to the jam session in the Firebird? My heart pitter-pattered at the thought, and I quickly made up my mind. The keys to the Firebird hung by the door, as innocent as an ice cream cone. No clue that they were about to be snatched up and used in an illegal act. Now my heart pounded and my knees went weak, but I did it. I grabbed those keys, took the porch steps two at a time, and flung myself into that car like it was my own. I lit a cigarette, Marlboro Light. I had long graduated from Virginia Slim menthol lights, not to calm my nerves, but to enhance my image. Now, if I got caught doing this, I'd be in so much trouble. I could be arrested, right? Driving at age 15 with no driver license. My stepmother would probably get in trouble too for leaving the keys, those loaded weapons, around so casually. And if I got in an accident, well, I couldn't even imagine how bad that would be. So I drove like a grandma, eyes glued to the road, hands at the wheel, gripping 10 and 2, completely forgetting about the way cool kids drive, with their wrists draped over the wheel. With tremendous relief, I pulled into a parking place downtown without incident. I stepped out of the car. I didn't get in a wreck. It wasn't so bad. Still, I was shaking like a leaf. I calmed myself enough to go into the building where the guys were jamming and smoking and drinking and thinking about 2,000,001 things, which did not include me or how I got downtown or even whether or not I was old enough to drive. Where were my girlfriends? They were nowhere to be seen. Being here without them was awkward and stiff and made me feel stupid. What was I doing here? I left the jam session quickly. No one saw my exit. No one saw me get into the cream-colored Firebird with or without the Phoenix on the hood, light a cigarette, look over my shoulder with a very Mary Tyler Moore head toss, and back out onto the street. When I got home, I slipped the keys right back onto the key hook by the door and went into my bedroom to sit on my bed, listen to The Secret Life of Plants on my Sears stereo, and write very bad poetry in my journal. The next evening, around dinner time, Janie got a call from a friend. To this day, I don't know if the friend was like, "Oh, I saw your car downtown this weekend, started to stop by and say hi, but I was in a hurry." Or, "Hey, I know you were out of town this weekend, so I just wanted to let you know that your car was out joyriding without you." "Robert, get in here," Janie yelled, slamming the phone into the receiver. She immediately began berating Robert for taking her car downtown. "Why would I take your car? I have my own car," Robert yelled back. Those two could really go at it. It was true, though. He did have his own car. Granted, Robert's car didn't have fenders or a windshield, and the hood was held down with a bungee cord. He used a fingernail file for a key, but he didn't need a Firebird to be cool. He was just cool. Suddenly, the room was silent. I wondered just how red my face grew. Robert took one look at me and burst into the most genuine peal of laughter. He threw his head back and roared. "I didn't take the car," he gasped between guffaws. "She did." He pointed at me and I thought he was going to wet his pants. I thought I was going to wet my pants too, but for different reasons. Oh, I got in trouble, grounded for a long, long time. But something more important happened in that moment, with Robert pointing at me laughing, my father's face, also with a cigarette dangling from his lips, a vantage, drawn up into incredulous scorn, and my stepmother's fury paused just long enough to recover from the shock of me, the good one, doing this deed. I cried and I ran from the room. I holed up once again in my bedroom with a pen and a notebook. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote about what I had done. I wrote and I cried, and I didn't feel one drop of remorse. Instead, I was mad. I was mad that I'd done something so stupid to get the attention of a bunch of dudes who did not give one flying fuck about me. Mad that it was so astonishing that I, a goody goody two shoes, was capable of being bad. I was mad that I wasn't cool. I was mad that I wanted to be cool. I was mad that nobody understood me, nor would they ever, ever, ever understand me. And I was destined to live in my uncool, isolated, misunderstood brain forever. 1 week later, I walked into the kitchen where my dad, stepmother, and brother were having coffee. Folgers crystals with water heated in a hot pot. They were all going about their morning over pancakes and the Sunday funnies, making plans which did not include me because I was grounded. I cleared my throat. "I have something to say," I said, not shaking or crying, and also not caring. "I've been good all my life, and he's been bad all his." I pointed at Robert, who looked up at me for the first time. "And it hasn't done me any good. I have the same rules as him. I have the same curfew as him. I don't have one single privilege that he doesn't have." I paused. Both my dad and Janie were listening. Robert had turned back to the Sunday funnies. "I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be good anymore." There was no response. I made my own cup of instant coffee and calmly went back to my room to write bad poetry about the moon, unicorns, fairies, gnomes, and the tragic failures of all mankind. The end.